Some of you guys asked for a new video about what to do when you reach level 30, basically a 2020 version of that video. So tonight is the Night of Nights, so let's get started. Hello heroes and villains, welcome to Multiverse. Sorry I had to reply. So one of the things you guys asked is what to do once you reach level 30. One of the things that people might be tempted to do, once you reach level 30, usually you have roughly 80 source marks. It should be somewhere between 60 and 80 something. So what to do with those 80 source marks? One thing that might be tempting would be to purchase some items from the mainframe. If you were to purchase anything in here, I would suggest to go for the tactical mods. So the tactical mods 1 would be 25 source marks, the tactical mods 2 would be another 25 source marks, and then you would have to pay 7 source marks for the boost. So if I was to purchase anything once you reach level 30, it might be that, but actually there is something else that you should purchase first. Let's go to the watchtower. The very first thing I would suggest you do once you reach level 30 is to come see this little guy here.
We've done some research with Superman over the years. We don't know everything, but we've been able to develop some good stuff. Check it out.
There is one such vendor in each wing of the watchtower, and there's also such vendors in the Hall of Doom if you play an evil villain. And the first thing I would strongly suggest you do is that you purchase this little belt here, the Aggressor's Mechanized Holster. It costs 11 source marks, and it's a item level 54 utility belt. There is also an item 44 utility belt. Eons ago, the price would be different, but at some point they made a whole bunch of changes to the price and the gear and all that stuff. So nowadays, the price of both items is the very same price, so there's absolutely no reason to purchase the Combatant Assault's case. You should really get the Aggressor one. So let us do that right now. And let's equip it. So you'll notice that belt alone gave a little boost to our combat rating. So that is the very first item I would strongly suggest that you purchase. So now as you can see, we still have 69 source marks. So we could decide, either we save those source marks to purchase some gear eventually, although I would strongly suggest not to do that. Right now, basically, once you reach level 30, you can start purchasing gear from Flash. There's also Steel in the tech wing that sells gear at the same level. And there's also, I forget if it's Aquaman or Raven who sells the same gear in the Magic Wing.
Looks pretty good, doesn't it? But not every fast talker can get into it. You have to earn the right. Good luck.
So if you really wanted to, you could purchase some gear from our friend the Flash once you reach level 30. I would strongly suggest don't do that. You're going to replace that gear so quickly that there's no point really to do that. So the one thing I would probably suggest, purchase the tactical mods from the mainframe. Of course, by now we should have enough cash to be able to replace the cells, so that shouldn't be an issue. So we've purchased tactical mods 1, let's purchase tactical mods 2, and let's purchase the boost. Doesn't really, I guess we could purchase the backups or the sidekicks. At this point, I wouldn't really do that. It's not really that useful at this point. But later in the game, yeah, you may decide to purchase those. So once we've done that, let's go to our dispenser here. So as you can see, it added basically the tactical mods for our character. So let's get the one for the weapon, the helmet, the neck, the chest, the back, the hands, the legs, and the feet. So normally at this point, our gear should be able to support white mods. So let us equip those white mods. So let's start with the weapon. With the weapon, I usually go with the blast adapter. The absorption adapter isn't bad, but it's at random, so you don't really control when it happens, so I find that annoying a bit. I won't go through all the white mods. Depending on the role of your character, the white mods you will select are going to be different. And I already have a video about the white mods, but if you guys need more information about the white mods, just let me know. I might try to make a video like white mods for tanks or white mods for healer at some point. I guess I'll have to give it some thoughts. So once you reach level 30, you gain access to a whole bunch of missions through the on-duty menu. But now you get access to missions from tier 1. And once you increase your combat rating, then you'll gain access to mission for tier 2 and then tier 3 and so on. So you can access to duos, you can access, and you can see in the on-duty menu, like the Hive base, you can see the little yellow thing next to the Hive base. Basically, it's saying that they'll give us extra rewards. I think you get extra source marks or something like that from that mission. You gain access to, again, tier 1 4-player missions. Again, you can see Smallville. There's that little yellow star thingy, which means that you'll get extra rewards. And you don't have access to 8-player missions just yet. So you have to play your tier 1 missions with this character. Also, once you reach level 30, you get 1 source mark from the vault whenever you run the vault. And also, you get a piece of gear. In this case, we got a weapon today. Usually, you can choose, if you're using, let's say, multiple weapons for reasons, you can choose the weapon you want. In this case, we're only using the brawling weapon, so let's select that. And then we have to select if we want it to be a controller weapon, a tank weapon, or a DPS weapon. Usually, by default, I go with the tank weapon. So sadly, as you just saw, we already used our weapon mod. Not a big deal. We just come back here, select another weapon mod, and just select it again. So let's go for the blast adapter. And let's just put it back here. So whenever you replace a piece of gear that has a mod in it, you just come back here, get a new mod, and replace it. It's that simple. So let's imprint our new gear. And what can we do with our old gear? One thing we can do is that we can go to, where's my crafting station? I don't use the same, there we go. I don't use the same layout of this character, so I might get a bit lost sometimes. Sadly, the gear I have, I can't really salvage it. It happens. So if we cannot salvage it, what can we do with it? Well, we can try to sell it. So we can sell our utility belt, which is no longer useful, and we can sell also the brawling weapon. So you can see the weapon is item level 27. That's why we cannot salvage it with the crafting table. The gear has to be level 30 or more in order for us to be able to salvage it. Let's see if there's something else we can sell. I guess not. Also, once you reach level 30, one thing you can do is that you can play the Toyman's mission. So let's accept. Once you accept the Toyman's mission, you get a portal that will take you to Striker Island. We're not going to do that today. I'll make a video specifically about those. I already made a video ages ago about the Striker Island missions, but it may be a bit different nowadays, so I'll make a video specifically about that. But once you reach level 30, that is one option that you have. And if I recall correctly, each mission should give you 1 source mark. It's 3 missions that you can do every day, so it's just with that, it's 3 source marks you can gain every day. And there's also the Doomed Metropolis missions that you should be able to play. Although those you should be able to play them starting at level 10. So you don't have to wait to be level 30 to play those missions. As soon as you reach level 10, you could decide to start playing the Doomed Metropolis missions. That's a pretty cool Black Panther with the crown and everything. And of course, something we could have done, I guess, would have been to purchase some artifacts from our friend Constantine. Instead of buying the white mods from the mainframe, we could have purchased some more artifacts. And as time goes by, they add more and more artifacts to our friend Constantine. Like you can see the Bird of Prey Comlink artifact, the Everman prototype artifact. These have been added with the Birds of Prey DLC. There's the Grimorium Verum. This one I love. Some of you guys asked in some of my videos, sometimes there's a little demon that appears, an Eldritch God that appears to help my character. It comes from that artifact. So there's a whole bunch of new artifacts that are added to Constantine as time goes by. So you could decide to use some of your source marks to purchase those artifacts if you want to. In this case, I went with the white mods, but both options work well enough. In the long run, in the long term, you will buy both. You will buy the white mods, and eventually you will get a few artifacts for your character. There are more artifacts on the quarks vendor, but those require quarks to be able to purchase them. Oh, let's say hello to our old friend. And also, once you reach level 30, there's this little console that you can activate.
It's that time again! Thanks for tuning in! Get ready for another round of newbies! I'm your host, the Joker. Let's get to know our legendary contestants. So you knocked him dead, eh? Put that big brainy bottle boy on his big behind, did you? Tetra, tetra, blah, blah, blah. Well, congratulations. We're all so proud. Aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? I said, aren't we, ladies and gentlemen? Harley? Harley! You see? But enough about past exploits. Here today, gone tomorrow, right? That's what they say, right? Take the old stomping grounds, for example. Gotham City and Metropolis. I mean, look at all the little hidey holes you've managed to carve out for yourselves. Oh, so industrious. You must feel all safe and cozy in there. Comfortable, are we? Well, not for long, because it's time to shake things up a bit. You've all become too complacent, too predictable, and that makes you boring. And if there's one thing I can't stand, it's a bored audience. So get ready, kids, because it's going to be a very, very exciting ride. I mean, these are just the opening jokes, folks. We haven't even gotten to the punchline yet, and when we do, it's going to be a doozy.
So once you complete that headline, you see there's a safe house and save. It'll give us 85 marks of legends. So let's complete it.
We've got a situation. Someone has compromised the safe house security codes for the police stations and nightclubs. Oracle thinks it's...
So it gave us 85 marks of legends to be able to purchase legend characters.
Is this thing on? Hello, viewers! Before tonight's show, we had a very special interview with your colleagues. It only took a few hours for them to spill their guts all over my wingtips. But I'm the generous sort, so I'm going to share these security codes. That ought to make things more interesting. It's time to get this show started. You're the next contestant, so come on down, or else.
So with your 85 marks of legend, you can come way to the south of the watchtower. There's this little vendor that sells legend characters. So you could purchase, depending on which legend you purchase, like you can see John Stewart by himself is 85 marks of legends. And there's even Batman, if I recall correctly. The classic Batman is like 150 marks of legends. But it's the best Batman ever, I swear. Although there is another legend vendors, I'll show it to you just in case. Using the long way around, I still see a lot of people who get lost in the watchtower. So if you go all the way down in the watchtower, you'll have a whole bunch of vendors that will sell you basically the gear that you get at character creation. So if somehow there's a chess piece you did not get at character creation and you want to get it now, there's a vendor for that. There's a handful of vendors here that sell a whole bunch of gear. But there is one vendor that will sell legend characters. It is this little vendor over here. So it's the very same vendor that we just saw. It's just there's multiple versions of this vendor in the watchtower. So once you reach level 30, your level doesn't really matter. What matters is your combat rating. So you can see where there's the little flame, you can see my level is level 30. But to the right of my name, you can see the number 34. That's my combat rating. So if you go into your stats, you can see the combat rating and the equipped combat rating. So you have the combat rating and the equipped combat rating. Basically, the combat rating is the overall combat rating of your character, but the equipped combat rating is specifically the gear that your character has equipped right now. Normally, it should be the same thing, but it could happen that sometimes you equip a piece that's lower level for some reason. So that would lower your combat rating. For example, if I decided to equip the speed boots with my Superman character because I wanted to have super speed all of a sudden, sadly, the speed boots are like item level 1. So that would greatly lower my combat rating. So my combat rating would not change. It would remain 34, but my equipped combat rating, thanks to the boots being level 1, would go down considerably. So right now my combat rating is 34. How do you increase your combat rating? Quite simply, you get better equipment. So you go to the on-duty menu, you play missions from the on-duty menu, and the gear you get from those missions should be well enough to be able to increase your combat rating so that you would reach tier 2. So when you start basically at level 30, your character is tier 1. Tier 1 is from level 30 to level 53. But when you reach level 43, then your character becomes tier 2. Also, once you become tier 2, then you can purchase gear from tier 2 vendors. And then once you reach combat rating 53, then you become tier 3. So basically, you have to increase the level of your gear in order to be able to increase your combat rating. So once you reach level 30, you play your tier 1 missions, you get your new gear, and that gear will increase your combat rating until you reach tier 2. Once you reach tier 2, again, you will play tier 2 missions to get better gear. That will increase your combat rating, and then you will reach tier 3, and so on.
Many starro, few starro. We are all one starro.
A question that often comes back is how do you increase your combat rating faster? It's a bit tricky to answer. At tier 1, basically just play the tier 1 missions, and you'll go up in level quickly enough once you get just a few pieces of gear. I will try to show it with another character soon. Then at tier 2, a really good mission at tier 2 to help you increase your combat rating faster is the Gotham University warehouse. The reason for that is quite simple. There's like 5 bosses in that mission alone. So if you are a bit lucky and you get 5 different pieces of gear, you should be able to get 5 pieces of gear with that mission alone, and that mission alone should propel you to tier 3. At tier 3, a mission that really can help you increase your combat rating faster is the Shady Nightclub. Again, there's 4 or 5 bosses in that mission alone. Again, each boss will give you a piece of gear. So if you're a bit lucky, you should get 4 or 5 different pieces of gear just playing that mission. And if you're lucky, you should be able to be tier 4 very quickly. Once you reach tier 4, the 2-player missions for tier 4 are pretty good missions. And again, they give you some nice gear. So if you play the tier 4 duos, at least once. If you're lucky, at least once, and you should be able to get tier 5. If not, play the tier 4 duos a couple of times, and then you'll be tier 5 in no time. Tier 5 is a bit tricky. Tier 5 is what I would call a speed bump, because tier 5 goes from combat rating 84 all the way to combat rating 100. Well, technically 99, but anyways. So that's quite a big. Tier 5 is quite a big gap. So there's no real miracle for tier 5. Just play your solo missions, just play your missions, get whatever gear you can get, and hopefully you'll go through tier 5 quickly enough. But tier 5 is one of those tiers where it takes a bit longer to go from tier 5 to tier 6. If you can manage to get your combat rating to combat rating 99, it will give you access to tier 6 solo missions. You can see Cersei's Trial and Aegis of Truth. These are combat rating 99 missions. So once you reach your combat rating 99, you should be able to play those missions in order to be able to increase your combat rating to 100. And then at combat rating 100, you will gain access to all the tier 6 missions. Sadly, starting with tier 6, things become convoluted a bit. There's a whole bunch of different DLC that affect tier 6, all in different ways, and it gets even worse with tier 7. During Tier 7, that's when we had, actually Tier 7 and Tier 8 is when we had the monthly content. So every month we would get like 2 or 3 new missions, and each missions had different combat rating. So it becomes a bit of a mess to get through Tier 7 and Tier 8. So just hang in there and do the best you can. Although once you manage to reach combat rating 197, it gives you access to the Riddle with Crime missions, so that should help you go up in level a bit faster. Then we have the Earth 3 DLC, then the Deluge DLC, the Titans DLC. So it becomes a bit of a mess, sadly, later on, but eventually it does goes back a bit simpler. Like once we get the Riddle with Crime DLC, that is one DLC with a whole bunch of missions. Then we get the Earth 3 DLC, then the Deluge DLC, the Titans DLC, the Justice League Dark, and last but not least, the Metal Part 1 and Part 2. This will probably be my last video with my Superman character. I will probably use my Batman character to show up the leveling process at level 30. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. I will probably make other Superman video, but I already have a Superman character, so I'll probably use that character in the future at some point. Some of you guys have been asking for more walkthrough, and I did promise that I would make a walkthrough with also villain characters. So my next walkthrough, I will use Deathstroke the Terminator. If you have any questions, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. I have roughly 2,000 videos about this Universal 9 at this point, so if I don't answer your question right away, just search in my videos. Odds are I already made a video that answers your question. And that's going to be pretty much it for now, guys. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.